What's happening, Hardscapers? Let's talk about how much a porcelain patio costs. Let's get into this. So if you listen to the How to Hardscape podcast or other things that I do, you know that I talk about pricing a lot, and we use the How to Hardscape headquarters software to do our pricing, which allows us to recover our costs on our job, including direct and indirect costs, and adding a profit margin on top of that to make sure that you're going to stay in business for the long term. We're seeing more and more clients ask us about porcelain, and there's obvious reasons. We've touched on them in previous videos, so we'll leave links to those videos in the description below, but it also comes with a different installation method than actually installing pavers. There's an added installation step because porcelain can't be laid dry like we would pavers. It doesn't have the interlocking capability that pavers do based on their aspect ratio, so they're much thinner and much larger pieces. So we need to adhere them using a system called Truss, which is a cementitious mixture that gets mixed in with your HPB, high performance bedding, or 1/4 inch chip, 3/8 inch chip, no fines in it, completely clean, and it gets screeded, and we back butter our porcelain with an elutriant and then install on top of that truss bedding layer. This truss bedding layer remains permeable as well as flexible for our winters that we experience here, while the porcelain remains adhered to that. The problem with laying dry just on HPB would be when you're walking on the edges or the corners of that porcelain, you'll hear them move. So that's why we've got that additional step. And with that additional step comes an increase in labor time and increase in labor cost, as well as the porcelain is more expensive than pavers. So let's do a complete breakdown of how much a porcelain project costs. For this example, we're going to do a 10 by 10 porcelain patio, so 100 square feet. And let's start with the material cost. So for excavation, at 100 square feet, we're going to have to dig 11 by 11 for our base extension. And we're going to be excavating about 10 inches. That's about 8 inches for our base, 1.5 inches for our bedding material, and then about 1 inch for our porcelain. So 10.5, but we'll just round that to 10. That's going to be 3.7 yards of material. And with fluff, because as you excavate, you're introducing air into that compressed soil. So we're going to be about 4.5 yards of material we need to dispose of. That's going to cost us in our area about $400 for a bin placed on the driveway. We put our fill in there and we get charged $400 for that. Now that's going to vary from area to area. Some areas you can dispose of soil really easily. In our area, that is not the case. But getting a bin delivered and having someone else deal with that for us saves us time on the job site, so we don't have somebody driving around trying to dispose of it, paying for the disposal. We want to save time on site, and that's why we get these bins. The next material would be the base preparation. And for our base material, we're going to be using 3/4 inch clean angular crushed stone. It says no fines in it, so we're going to be building an open graded base system. So we need 3 yards for this base. We're going to be doing an 8-inch base. That's going to be $40 per yard, so $120, and we're going to get that delivered, and that's an additional $85. Once again, getting deliveries is going to save us on site doing that project. We have $30 for our geotextile before we install our base, and we have a bedding layer at 1.5 inches for our truss bedding, which is going to be about a half yard, so an additional $20. Now comes the additional cost in this truss material plus the elutriant. So we're going to assume we're doing 2x2 porcelain slabs, and we need 2 feet around our entire project with this truss bedding material. If any of these sides were up against a wall or a foundation, you don't necessarily need the truss in that area, because in the interior of our project, we're going to be actually back buttering with type S mortar mix and pressing that into the HPB. It's going to save us a little bit in cost, or we could go all truss throughout this entire project, but as you'll notice, the truss is expensive, so let's break this down. At 2 feet around our entire project in truss, plus an additional 4 to 6 inches for our base extension, and 1 bag of truss does about 22 square feet. We're going to need 80 square feet of this truss around our perimeter, and that's going to be about 4 bags, so $125 per bag would be $500 just for this truss material. And for the elutriant to adhere our porcelain to this truss material, we have 64 square feet of material being adhered to this truss using the elutriant. That's 2x2 slabs around the entire perimeter of this project. We might be able to get away with one bag. Hopefully that's going to be $150 for that bag, which means our remaining square footage on this project, so the slabs in the interior, we're going to use Type S mortar mix to save a little bit of money on this, and that's going to be about $20. And for our porcelain, they're about double the cost of pavers, so about $10 a square foot for this. That's going to cost $1,000. And because we are doing this on an open graded base, that means we're going to be using a 3/4 clean stone. There's no fines in it. And our high performance bedding on top is also clean. We're going to be using a semi-permeable resin based jointing compound for this. And once again, this is expensive compared to an alternative like polymeric sand. For 100 square feet, we're probably looking at about $100 for this. Now, a small savings with this truss material is that we don't need any edge restraint because our borders are going to be adhered. So $0 for edge restraint. And then finally, clean up topsoil, just making that project look nice and pretty, probably about $50. And with all that, our material total is about $2,475 Canadian, and at the current rate, about $1,800 US. In our video on how much does a paver patio cost, we were $1,420 in materials, so this is about a 75% increase in price just going to porcelain. And that's just in materials. So if someone's charging $24.75 a square foot or $18 a square foot in US, they're just covering the cost of materials, so you know that they are cutting corners somewhere in your porcelain installation. They just have to be, because they're not even paying for their labor yet or their indirect costs or even making a profit for their business. And they could be dry laying this project, and you'll notice that this just does not hold up, and that would be saving them about $650. But now let's add in our labor. So for our excavation, we have 3 hours. Base preparation, we have 3 hours. Screeding and laying is going to be about 6 hours. Compare this to screeding and laying for pavers. We have about 2 hours for that. So it's about 3 times the amount of time to be able to screed and lay porcelain, especially using this truss material. Edge restraint, we don't have any hours for. Jointing material is going to take us 1 hour to install, and cleanup is going to be additional hour. So we have 14 hours in total. We would have 2 people on this project, so that would be 28 total hours. And for a round number to charge for our employees in the field, we'll just say about $50. That could be a $20 an hour employee plus a $30 an hour employee. That could be 2 $25 employees. However you want to break it, $50 is just a nice round number for this example. So $50 times our 14 hours would be $700, but then we have payroll taxes, insurance, vacation pay, making sure our employees are making a livable wage. We're going to add about 30% to that of $210 to bring this labor total to $910 or $650 US. So at our material cost plus our labor cost, we are at a total of $3,385 or $2,450 US. And at this point, I'm just paying for my direct costs. So if someone is charging $33.85 a square foot or $24.50 a square foot in US or less than that, you know that they're definitely cutting corners still, because there's nothing left over to pay for their indirect costs, and there's no money for the business to be made at the end of this to be able to survive and to continue to service clients in the future. So let's talk about those indirect costs. Business owners in the hardscape industry take on a lot of risks with employees working in the field with heavy equipment, driving to and from job sites, the cost of equipment and labor on top of that. There's a lot of risk involved with this, so we do deserve to make a healthy profit for what we are doing. But before we get into profit, let's talk about indirect costs. It's important to note that for a business in our area, we're only going to operate 8 months of the year because of winter. We have less time to recover our costs, so this would mean our pricing would be higher than a business that works 12 months of the year or full year round to recover their costs. So for example, yard rent. If it is $12,000 a year, I only have 8 months to recover that cost. That's $1,500 a month I need to recover in my projects. But a business that works 12 months of the year, they're going to recover $1,000 a month. Not every indirect expense is the same as that. For example, marketing. It's not like we're going to be marketing throughout the winter, but year-round expenses like rent is something that we need to consider to recover that in our 8 months. Also, businesses are going to have different indirect costs or overhead. So this is where pricing discrepancy comes into play, as well as how long that business thinks that project is going to take them to complete. So let's talk about different indirect expenses. I have a full list of them, from accounting printing, advertising, automobile expenses, bad debts, bank charges, cleaning, computers, contributions, credit and collection costs, conferences, dues and subscriptions, education and training, because we want to make sure our employees are trained well, liability insurance, building and equipment insurance, interest expenses, licensing, legal fees, meetings, office supplies, payroll expenses, rent, software, taxes, cell phone, tools, travel and entertainment, uniforms, utilities, and so on. If you don't price these things into your projects, these will come out of your pocket. And you won't be able to stay in business for a long period of time when you're forking over cash for these large expenses of your project. So the easiest way that you can recover these costs is use a software like How to Hardscape Headquarters, where you can create a budget and know how much percentage of these costs need to be applied to a project to be able to recover it. Other things like equipment depreciation. Just because you own a piece of equipment doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be replaced in the future, and you need to be pricing the projects appropriately to recover the costs of that depreciation. So that's your truck, trailer, skid steer, saws, and so on there that needs to be recovered. Once again, this is where this number will vary from business to business depending on how lean they are, how many crews they have, how many employees they have. This is going to differ greatly, so I really can't even put a dollar amount for this project on this. But what I will say is a healthy gross profit margin for a hardscape business to do a project like this is around 50%. Use that as a guide, not the exact truth. So if we're talking a 50% gross profit margin, that means gross profit, revenue minus direct costs for that project. And it's not even a clean direct cost that we have here because we're not factoring in our cost of goods, equipment, fuel, and so on that goes into that equipment. So let's take that 50% gross profit margin example. We have a total of $3,385 in direct costs. If we multiply that by 2, that's going to be our 50% gross profit margin. That's going to give us a total of $6,770 or $4,900 US for this 100 square foot project, or $67.70 a square foot, or in US, $49 a square foot is where this project would likely land. Now, as your project expands, you'll likely save a little bit more in terms of square foot for this, but this is a good starting point for what that porcelain patio is likely to cost. Compare that to our how much does a paver patio cost video. This is a bit more than a 60% increase in the cost when comparing a paver project to a porcelain patio project. But I hope this video has helped you. You'll see that video about how much a paver patio costs pop up around here that you can start to watch that if you want to compare the two, or any other topics that I've covered in this video. You'll find them in the description below. Thanks so much for watching.